and just strafe across, acquiring targets. He's so good against alphas. There's the alpha commander in the distance. Deleted. 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 Dead. Like, another one. Removed. That is insane. How many primary targets just got absolutely mulched by this thing. It is very nice against Terminids. So the muzzle attachment is where the magic happens, folks, and you want to be going for none other than the muzzle brake. If you take a look here at the recoil simulation, you can see how utterly ridiculously close this becomes, and this is kind of the secret sauce, if you will, for keeping your shot in that laser beam straight line. Combining that with the vertical foregrip just makes such a big difference. If you take a look at what no under barrel looks like on the recoil sim here in the bottom right, and then compare that to the vertical foregrip, you can really just see how it pulls things together. Look at it. Look how snappy that is. We could take a look at the angled foregrip, but as you can see, it just sends things upwards. So you really do just want to make sure that vertical foregrip is the one that you pick. You can take the one with the flashlight if you want, but -2 ergonomics there, so forget that. And then in terms of the magazine, this is where things get interesting, and there is some nuance, much like the Breaker Incendiary, much like the shotguns as well. You want to be taking a look at not only the amount of magazines here. The drum magazine gives us 6 magazines and a reload time of 4, but it gives us that 60 capacity. If you take a look at the short mag, you can see that the reload time drops by 1, the magazine count increases by 6, and your ergonomics increases by 25, but of course you lose the capacity. I'll put some footage on the screen now that shows you the difference in the way these behave in terms of how quick they are to snap onto targets, and also just the general duration of how long the ammunition takes to be spent. But the key thing to note here is the reload speed. If you are able to remember to hit reload once you get into the red region of the magazine, when you're using either the short mag or the drum mag, you can decrease the reload speed substantially, folks. And if you do that, you're onto a winner. That would be the only thing I would say the short mag kind of has, really, over the drum mag. And you might be thinking, well, what about the ergonomics? Honestly, I'll put some footage up now again. It really doesn't make much difference. If you're a fairly good aim, and I say fairly good, like you don't need to be absolutely cracked, you don't need to be like Shroud. This weapon is just a laser beam, regardless of which one you are using. So if I were you, I'd go with the drum mag, but do experiment a little bit. And then in terms of the sight, you can get 5 ergo from the iron sight. I personally feel like running COD mode and playing the reflex sight Mark II is the way to go with this. It just feels a little bit better to acquire targets, but see how far you get in terms of mileage with this one, folks. Really interesting setup, and it's really great to play a weapon now that uses medium armor pen and has such good target acquisition and really good TTK on some of the factions as well, as you'll find out in a moment. That is a nice TTK on an Alpha Commander. The Liberator Penetrator performs at its best against Terminids. The brute force of the medium armor pen being focus fired at such laser precision with such vast amounts of ammo makes it incredibly difficult for Terminids to withstand the hail of destruction. Smallies like the Hunters are obviously nothing to brag about, but when you see how swiftly you can deal with not 1, but 2 or 3 Alpha Commanders in quick succession, and then follow it up by dispatching a couple of warriors and or even hive guards, it's really difficult to put this weapon down, and once you have it upgraded, you will struggle, trust me. It even does really respectable work against Charger and Impaler weak spots. The crazy thing is that this isn't even taking into consideration playing optimally with a solid support weapon and loadout. With that in mind, I would recommend taking either the Quasar Cannon to deal with heavy targets such as Bile Titans, or if you don't enjoy the inevitable difficulty you can run into against Bile Spewers, take something else to deal with these. You could throw the Eagle Strafe in if you like. I personally run Quasar with the Gatling Sentry and the usual 500 kg Gas Dog combo for that CC, but you can also run the Rover now that it's fixed, or the Laser Dog. They all work, folks. Really nice loadout. Against Illuminate, it's a similar story. Though not perhaps as impressive as the performance against Terminids, there is still certainly some serious value in taking this weapon fully upgraded into the fray. It can deal with all enemy types fairly effectively, effectively, aside from tripods, and to a much lesser degree, overseers. It takes about a third of a mag to take one of those out and requires decent tracking ability due to the way they shift around. Where it truly shines, though, is its combination with the firecracker grenade against large packs and perhaps most impressively, flesh mobs. If you focus fire at a flesh mob's leg and also time your firecracker throws into their path, you can slow them down enough so that they take a ton of burn damage and the final boom can often take them out. You can also slow them down substantially, making life much easier for you and your teammates to deal with them. My recommended loadout is to take the Lib Pen with the HMG 206 to deal with other scary situations, a Gatling Sentry, a nuke, and a gas dog. Insanely powerful stuff. Obviously, we've got the Leviathan in the mix now as well. If you want to focus on that, I would recommend taking the Emancipator mech or try the Spear out now. It's really cracked. In fact, I'll link you a video at the end of this one so you can check out a loadout I've made for that. Against bots, it's still okay, but I would definitely put this at the bottom of the pecking order in terms of performance. The weapon just doesn't have as much prowess as it does against the other two factions. Due to the nature of Devastators and Berserkers, you will find dealing with these much more difficult. The way they are armored, the way that you need to place your shots on their weak spots, it just makes things a little bit too difficult if you ask me, and that isn't to say it isn't doable, but I think you would probably rather take the Plasma Punisher for good crowd control or just go back to the old faithful Scorcher for more bang for your buck. If you do choose to take it for a spin though, ensure that you take a railgun, a supply pack and a 500 kg with you. It cannot be understated, folks, just how powerful the railgun is when taking on the oil swillers. With a wide range of weapons now at our disposal thanks to the weapon customization system, I'm having an absolute blast. But I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are, folks. What weapon would you like me to upgrade next and why? Why do you think I should perhaps take that weapon and get it to max level? I'm leaning towards the Scythe. I've heard really good things. Or what about the Reprimand? Have you got any experience with either of these weapons? Which one would you recommend I lean into for my next weapon video and put myself through that horrendous grind? Check out this next video. It's got you covered. Take care of yourselves. Keep having fun. Come check out a stream on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one.